multiple fronts. So the major front that was confronting us was that of load shedding. So essentially, our aggregate generation was not sufficient to meet the aggregate demand. So we focused our attention to resolve that problem. And now that we appear to be resolving that problem, and I'm confident that we are within touching distance of putting load shedding behind us, we know that there are other fronts that had not received sufficient attention. What are those? It's about the capacity of the distribution and reticulation infrastructure to meet, if you like, the demand. So that's downstream, how you reticulate the electricity. And this as a result of a huge acute underinvestment by municipalities, including Eskom, on the distribution and reticulation, the inability to make projection with regards to population growth and their associated demand, and that has resulted in what we refer to as load reduction. I've made the point that we are repurposing the grant, what we call the INEP grant, that is meant to provide universal access, so that we design it to provide the necessary infrastructure to allow us to be able to ensure that the demand that is required downstream is satisfied. And then we also accept that another front is that of electricity costs, that if you were to do a trend line over the past 10 years, you have seen that the tariffs have increased by over 600%. It's an untenable situation. Industries are becoming uncompetitive, and also households are finding very difficult to meet the costs associated with electricity, is eroding their disposable income. Now, these conversations that we are having are able to help us to ensure that we bring on board new technological innovations in the form of solar PV, a hybrid solution, and we are able to provide this intervention, especially your peri-urban areas and also rural communities and villages that are disproportionately affected by the cost of electricity. Because really the primary driver of the tariff is what we call the cost of primary energy. And we know that our primary energy source really is coal. And if you are to replace that with solar, and of course pairing that with PV, you are likely going to bring down the cost of electricity provision, because we have seen that with technological advancement, the cost curve has come down. I'm under no illusion. I mean, solar and PV, that's not base load. So you still need to rely on the Eskom as a backstop, and of course generating from fossil fuels. So part of the conversations we're having there is to ensure that we retrofit some of these power stations. We're able to introduce technologies that what you call abatement technologies that brings down the emissions levels, so that we can continue to benefit from this endowment that is coal without harmful effects to the environment and the health of people who are located close to those coal-fired power stations. So you are going to find that there's going to be that trickle-down effect. In fact, for the record, we will be launching one of the first phases of this technology in Limpopo. We've been doing that over a period of time, but now we're scaling it up. We're going to be a bit more aggressive. There's 1.6 million households that don't have access to electricity. We're going to use these technologies to connect them. And then we'll find solutions to ensure that we bring down the cost in other areas that are already connected. Now, and like I said before, we will make that announcement to the public.